This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
Coming to you live from the villainous lair of Cobra Commander himself, we bring you the Nerdy Manroom show with your host, Hazel and Monster. Pretty pumped. It's Good Friday. It's opening day of baseball. All is well in the world. Spring is here, my friend. Easter this weekend. Come on.
You could call it spring if you want to. It was cold where I was, so.
Well, I wasn't in Cobra's mountainous regions myself, so.
Yeah, well, I wasn't that far away. I was just up in Canada a little bit, but even here in Ohio, it's still like it's decent at certain times, and then it's like freezing the rest of the times, and so it's kind of hard to judge all of it.
We got a brief cold the weekend. I think, well, not even all weekend, Saturday, and now it's back to 70 degrees every day. So, yay, Georgia.
Yeah, so. Just to share with everybody, this week is the quarterfinals. I think I'm saying it right. Yeah, quarterfinals of the March Madness Melee. So we're going to go through that, talk about who won the votes for that, and then look at what the semifinals are. But on the semifinals, when we get to that, we are going to post those for everybody to vote on social media, and we will announce the winners there, and then come back here for finals because I will actually be completely out of touch next week and unable to record. We have a special Cobra retreat where we have to talk about all of our plans to rule the world, and so I will be unavailable that week. There's a little torture, a little grooming, several things going on there. So we got to take care of all that at once.
Grab a nipple pinchy?
I'm not. No, we don't quite do that. But yeah, I will be out of touch then. So we're going to do the semifinals and finals. We're going to let everybody vote on the semifinals, announce those on social media. We'll do the finals the same way that everybody will vote, but then we will actually announce those and talk about the semifinal fights in the same episode. That's just to keep us on track because we are going into April now. So instead of dragging this too many weeks out, we figure we were.
Now it's April Madness. Yeah.
It could be. I mean, WrestleMania is in April, so we could tie that together.
They're going to body slam their way into the finals.
But with that, Hassel, I think we're ready. Let's jump straight into the March Madness Melee. We're going to do that first, and then we will finish out this episode with the return of Geek Week, which has been several weeks out. So we'll have a little bit there. I won't have quite as much to share on that as you do, but we can touch on a few things, and we can roll from there. But let's see if I can share my screen now. Let's put the tournament bracket back up here. As always, it's an adventure, and I'm now in a new location. So, hey, who knows?
He's back home, folks.
If this will work or not. Yeah, well, let's start sharing.
There we go.
Do what you're supposed to. So you can see it now, right?
I can see it.
All right. Well, I'm going to take your word for it because I've got two monitors at home now. So you're on one and it's on the other. So I don't know what it'll actually look like on screen. So let's do a quick recap. We were at the quarterfinals. We've got He-Man versus John Wick, Skeletor versus Spider-Man, Raoul the Conqueror versus Superman, and Zarathos versus Darth Vader. So as usual with these, we will talk about what the fight is. We will talk about who we would have voted for. Then we'll say who the fans voted for as the winner. We could talk about how this came to be, maybe a little bit. And as usual, at the end, we may talk about the surprise breakout, the surprise fight of the quarterfinals. What was the one that shocked us the most, and then what's the standout fight of the semifinals here? So, Hassel, where you want to start at? We started over here last time, so how about we start down here with Zarathos and Darth Vader?
Man, let's do it.
All right,
with
so we've got
60. Oh, okay.
So who do you have in the fight first? Let's share that.
Who did I have?
Yeah, who would you have voted for if we were voting?
Oh, Zarathos all the way.
Still, even though I think he would win power wise, I still would just fan favorite win with Darth Vader.
It's just fun. That would be fun. I mean, it's yeah. It's just hard to fathom the power that Zarathos really has when properly utilized.
This is fair. So who did our fans actually vote for in this fight?
60% has Arthos. I was surprised. I really thought that his luck was going to run out. I hate to say his luck was going to run out, but I thought the fanfare of Vader would actually win out. Honestly,
Yeah, I can see that. That's what I would have assumed too, and that's honestly how I would have voted. Even though I don't think Vader is powerful enough to defeat an angel / demon of vengeance, right? So
yeah.
It's hard to see him pulling that out. But how do you think Zarthos? How does he pull out this win in this fight, or is it even a close fight?
I can see him toying with him a little bit because he likes to when he's in his true form and not tethered to a host, so to speak. He does like to do some manipulation. I could kind of see him fucking with him with Padme a little bit. Get his guard down, get his anger up, get him so blinded with rage that it would be a tasty little morsel to him.
Yeah, I could see him doing that, and then I could see Vader giving him maybe a few minutes of trouble, but I don't see this fight lasting more than 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, pissed off Vader is nothing you want to quarrel with. And he would be this way during an encounter like that, but eventually it would be too much.
Yeah, eventually, well, there's got to be some PTSD too. You got to fight a guy with his head on fire when you were just on fire.
Yeah, I would imagine they'd be like, oh shit, this is going to hurt. I know this feeling.
He's probably wondering, how does he keep his good looks?
Yeah, I know his rugged good looks.
Yeah. Oh man. So let's that was a quick and easy one, but let's jump across the screen. Let's go let's do Skeletor versus Spider-Man next.
Dude, this was a blowout.
I would have won Spider-Man all day long just because it's Spider-Man, but
90% of our fans did as well.
Wow.
90%. I was shocked. The total disrespect for Skeletor was, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I was pulling for Spidey, but the total disrespect to Skeletor, it was never even close at any point.
Well, you got to figure that was going to probably happen with one of these, and this might be the case of where it was, because Spider-Man is as popular as He-Man is, popular Skeletor would be from He-Man. He-Man is the more popular one than Skeletor, or Spider-Man is like Marvel's golden boy. So I mean, I could kind of see that from a vote standpoint. Fight wise, Skeletor's got a lot of magic stuff, but it's not like that's the first time Peter's faced somebody with magical abilities.
No, he's faced sorcerers before, and I mean he's faced juggernauts and hulks and things of this nature. So I mean, he even though Skeletor isn't the bumbling boob they make him on the Filmation, when you get into the actual Skeletor, he's pretty badass guy. And he does trade blows with He-Man. You got to have a pretty good jaw to do that. Bony or not. Point. But I mean, when Spider-Man's not holding back, and in a case like that, I think he would tap into his versus Morlon top. I know I'm against the ropes. I got to really do it.
Well, I mean, fighting prowess wise too. Skeletor is a brawler, but Spider-Man has been trained by Shang-Chi, however you want to say it, to utilize
Spider-Fu.
Yeah, and with his spider sense and everything else, you got to figure some of that's got to play into this here at some point.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So we got Spider-Man and Zarthos moving on. So let's see who they're going to face. You want to try Rao versus Superman as the next one?
No, that was last week.
No, yeah. Well, that's the fight that's going into this. So it's the Rao versus Superman. Last one would have been
Doom or Superman.
Yes, it is. You're right. I didn't put the name down here. It didn't carry over. So that is my bad. Apparently, I did not save. I was looking at the name there stretching across. So my bad. You're right. It is Doom versus Superman. So let's go to that one. I'm gonna tell you my vote. I would win Superman all day long. It's Superman.
Doom, baby.
You would have voted for Doom?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I like Doom as a villain, but at the same time, I'm like, man, it's Superman. How do you not carry him forward? But that's just me. So how did our fans?
60% went with Doom. Doom has got a hell of a fan club. There's only one other person that's rivaling him in fanfare so far. And we'll touch on that in a few minutes. But Doom he's got some fanboys out there and girls actually. There was a couple of chicks voted for Doom. I was like, hey, check this out.
If you look at the Fantastic Four, and I was a fan of the Fantastic Four, still am. I used to collect the comics regularly. I got out of them just because I got more into X-Men, and got to balance your money somewhere. And there's 35 X-Men titles, so it's kind of hard to not go with them if you're trying to go with the story. But when I was collecting Fantastic Four, I was more of a fan of the FF itself. But most people who look at the FF, the only thing they're a fan of is Galactus and Doom, and everything else is like, yeah, they're there, but they're dated.
You know what? They are one of the ones with to have some of the weakest rogue gallery. To be such a nostalgic and established team from as far back as they are, it's just like you said. If it's not Doom, the Watcher showing up, or Galactus, no one gives a fuck.
And that's a shame. But I like them all. They don't have a huge rogue gallery, but there's also always more of a what's the exploration side of it, right? So they would have stories where just because they're having a time traveling, deal with multiple stuff, and some of their villains were a little lame when they would do that, but at the same time, it was an interesting story, which is what I enjoyed about it.
I like particular arcs. They have particular arcs that are fun. Like they go to the negative zone, they got to deal with Annihilus, or like when Johnny was actually king of the negative zone for a while and had the cosmic rod and all that stuff. Yeah, that stuff has fun. But I don't know. All in all, how about, did you see where they have made Franklin has reawakened his mutant abilities, and he is actually he's choosing not to be a mutant and all powerful at this point.
No, I haven't. I haven't really read much of their stuff. Honestly, I'm about 2 months behind on reading most anything except for Power Rangers.
As I haven't read it myself, I just it was something I was seeing online, and it basically they're saying that to allow himself to have a childhood, he makes his powers go dormant for a year at a time, and then one day out of the year, everything reawakens inside of him. His full memory comes back, basically like an alert. Like he brings his cosmic awareness back and his all powerfulness. Checks everything around, makes sure that everything's clicking like it's supposed to, everything's good, and then his powers go dormant again for another year unless he chooses to keep them at that point.
I see. That's the last time I was reading this when they said that he wasn't a mutant and this and that, and they were like, "Oh, he doesn't have power. He's not a mutant." And all this. So that's the last time I looked at any of it. So.
Apparently, he still is, and his power. He's dampening his own power for a year at a time. It's pretty neat. I mean,
it's interesting to see how that would play out.
The shirt would say it's an onion. It's layers.
So with that, though, we've got one more fight to see how it plays out. So let's hop over here to He-Man versus John Wick as our final quarterfinals fight. So who would you have voted for in this fight, Hassel?
Much as I love Wick, it's hard not to say just He-Man. I mean, how does one not say that?
Yeah, I would have went with He-Man all day long. I mean, I like John Wick, but it's He-Man. And truthfully, where all these characters that we have put on here are very cool. Cartoon and toy wise, he was the first big one because they were the first ones to get a cartoon to go along with a toy. You could buy it with it, so it was like, oh, it's hard not to be, slightly biased there. But let's see, how did our fans do with it?
Squeaking it out, and I'm talking 52%. It came down to one vote that tipped the tide, so to speak. He-Man won.
Wow.
It was that damn close. And for a good while, Wick had it. Like, it was a day there. I was looking, I was like, holy shit, Wick's going to pull this out. And then, by the final day that, I went to tallying things up, He-Man barely pulled it off. Well, I think it was actually tied, and I messaged around a few people. Like, hey, I need a tiebreaker. Somebody, give me something.
So that's very interesting. So let's look at these. So the next we'll talk through the semifinals here. So semifinals: He-Man versus Spider-Man, facing off against the winner of Doctor Doom and Zarthos. So we will end up with a villain versus a hero at the end of it, which is how we started the tournament, which is interesting.
It is crazy how it ended up hero, villain, right?
It kind of is, but I will say that looking back at this last round and the most shocking fight, I'm torn because I'm surprised that more surprised that John Wick got as many votes as he did, and He-Man had to get a tiebreaker.
John Wick was on a hell of a run. I mean, he beat up Optimus Prime and Sinestro before narrowly falling to He-Man.
Yeah.
Baba Yaga was a bad motherfucker in this tournament.
He was the surprise. He's that number 2 seed from March Madness that goes all the way to the end somehow.
Yeah.
But I will say that the most surprising fight, actual just winner, would have to be Dr. Doom to me, because I just figured Superman would have. Honestly, after looking at the quarterfinals at some point, I was like, man, might come down to He-Man versus Superman, which would be an interesting fight.
That was kind of fun when I was looking at it too. I was like, wow, what if these two make it? That would be a pretty neat one to explore. So let's explore the Superman Doom one. So since we didn't really touch on that one very much, we kind of went aside with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
How do you see Doom doing it?
I don't know how to explain that. I feel
like he has to tap into his mystical abilities.
I think that's a possibility. That's probably the only way he pulls it out. But at the same time, even as powerful as he is as a sorcerer and stuff, it's one of those things where we've also seen Superman tackle Shazam, Dr. Fate, several others.
Here's my thing. It depends on who's writing this Doom. Like Doom has defeated Beyonders, not just the Beyonder, Beyonders. Redone an entire planet in his image on more than one occasion. So I don't know. I feel like between his technical side, which would be his Lex Luthor side, aside from the fact that I don't think he's quite as what is the word I'm looking for that Luthor is. That's I don't know. Doom is a little more self-aware, I think. To where Luthor is just way too self-centered and egotistical. Not that Doom isn't, but he is a little more self-aware of what his weaknesses will be against the Kryptonian.
That's probably fair. At the same time, though, I think that Doom when he defeats all the enemies you talk about, like the Beyonders, stuff like that, it's usually because he outsmarts them. And yes, they play Superman off as like the Boy Scout and stuff, but Superman's not an idiot either.
No.
And honestly, because of his Kryptonian DNA and the time he spent in the fortress, he's actually he's no Ray Palmer, the Atom, or anything like that, but he's a fairly intelligent, scientist in his own right to a degree. So I mean, it's not like he's tricking the Beyonder, who is a being from another realm and just naive to what really goes on, is one thing. Trying to trick somebody who's somewhat intelligent to a degree, I mean, a higher degree, that seems harder to do to me.
Fair enough.
But Doom did pull it out, so we do have Doom going against Arthos, which is interesting because that would be
I'm torn on that.
Tech and Magic versus Magic, and then we've got He-Man, who's another Magic player. So Magic played a big part in this.
It did
coming into the semifinal. So
He-Man and the Spider Totem. That's going to be interesting, actually.
That's going to be the standout fight to me, is who would win that. Because I
almost wonder if that's not going to come down to a moral compass. Because you don't have two more, well, aside from Superman, I guess, maybe do the right thingers than Peter Parker and Adam.
I would lean more towards Adam in that, though.
Really?
Well, think about the times like, recently, the whole Spider-Man thing where Mary Jane's trapped into the dimension and Raven. He just pisses off every one of his close friends trying to get back to her, which is understandable to do. However, Adam wouldn't have quite done that. He'd have been like, all right, what do we do? Can everybody come help? He would have begged and pleaded before he would have just, all right, screw you, I'm going to do what I want to anyway.
That was one thing I didn't agree with in that story was, no matter how big of a hurry you are, I mean, how much longer does it take to say, instead of saying, I don't have time, just say, Mary Jane is trapped in another dimension. I need help.
Yeah, one sentence.
I mean, literally, it's like the writing in that. Dwight was a good story, but that's one of those holes that the writer, I don't know what he was thinking there.
It is, but then you can also take that same thing back to like all of Adam and He-Man stuff is always Prince Adam stuff as He-Man's always been. I was given this great power. It's my responsibility to do this stuff. Same story you get with Spider-Man, but however,
power comes great
when
responsibility.
Spider-Man started his career, he had to learn that the hard way, whereas Adam accepted it right away. But that may just be because he is supposed to be a king or a prince.
I was going to say he was
kind
kind of molded in ability and service since he was being groomed that way since birth.
Yeah,
as all princes are.
but
Some just actually adapt to it, and some become cruel.
Yeah, so I think that lends itself to being more like, okay, you talk about the battle of morality. I think that He-Man gets a little more traction on that just because he has been molding that the whole time, and Peter had to learn that. So there may still be possibility for Peter to backslide a time versus Adam.
What if Peter got a hold of the sword? Ooh, how fun would that be?
That would be interesting.
Held aloft my magic sword.
It'd be interesting to see what he
I've never held anything aloft. Have you?
Yeah, anything you hold up over your head. You have held things aloft before.
I'm just saying I've never quite worded it that way, I suppose.
You have not, but I have seen you hold your wrestling belt aloft before at events and stuff, so can't quite say that. So we will have these posted up coming up in the next sometime in this week after we put the show out here, and everybody will get a
probably
chance
start
to vote.
posting them on Saturday or possibly I don't know. We may wait till Monday with Easter being the weekend.
Yeah. Let's
we may give everybody time. We'll start posting on Monday, and you guys will be able to vote into the semifinals and the finals.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and as soon as the semifinals are completed, we will post the winners of that on social, and then you can check out the final fight and make your votes there as well. And we will discuss them all just like we did these fights previously here once we get into the show. But with that, Hassel, let me stop sharing now, and maybe you and I can talk. Let's do a little bit of a Geek Week because we haven't done one in a while. So I'm trying to stop sharing. You'll have to tell me when it stops, if it ever does. Because it says,
"Hey, we're back."
Hey, there we go. All right. So, Hassel, I'm going to let you go first for Geek Week because you've probably got more going on than I do because I have been traveling. Actually, I left on Monday and turned right around and came back this evening. So, as you can see, I'm back home now. So, it's been a quick turnaround here. So, I haven't really had time to do much of anything.
Well, I had a pretty good haul from Big Bad Toy Store last week or the end of last week. Actually, I have another one on the way now, but. I had my X-Men 97 Wave 2 arrived. My Paul Bear arrived, and they sent the chase. I was pretty surprised. The blue suit chase that where he was managing Kane, that was the one I received, actually. I was pretty surprised. The biggest letdown I had was this piece of shit right here.
Krang?
Dude, listen. Do you hear that?
No, I cannot hear that.
That is
quite picking that up.
Okay, the Krang himself. That's the Super 7 Krang from the Ultimate line, correct?
Okay.
And I was kind of thinking that's what this was supposed to be. It was from the Ultimate line. I didn't pay attention to the Cyborg line or whatever. But
it's a Super Cyborg.
Yeah, he is completely hollow to the point to where like his arms, thin plastic hollow. Feet, I mean, the hands fall off because he's got these little, additions you could add on, which are pretty neat looking. However, they don't stay on very well. So he is like hollow. Like this feels like a dollar store toy. I shit you not. For $80.
That's kind of what those are designed to be, though. I mean, they're kind of like, just honestly, just how they're. For lack of a better term, their reaction is kind of basically like dollar store toys.
Well, see, I didn't realize that this was actually one of those, the Cyborg Wave. I knew the chest come off, but I just thought it was a neat little, and I would take it off, but it is a bitch to put on, honestly. It doesn't snap on very well. I'm scared I'm going to break the plastic. But there's like a hamster in there, the hamster wheel, that's his heart and whatnot.
That's funny.
So that was actually, it's a neat looking piece, but it's very cheaply made. Big Rob hooked me up. He got me a He-Man from dirt cheap, actually. Pretty happy with that.
Master version.
And this was the one I was surprised with. Ultimate Bret Hart. And it's not this isn't the best stuff. You know, this is actually one of the 2019 ones.
Yeah.
As I was so surprised when he told me that, because like when he sent me a picture, I just figured it was one of the best stuff had done made it there. And I was like, okay, cool. I said, hell yeah, I'll open it because the figure's the same. Other than it's probably got a different stamp on it. I hadn't looked at this foot actually. Well, this one won't, but they would probably have a different time stamp. But so let me ask you this before I go into the rest of my Geek Week. How do you feel about reissuing figures like that? Because like with baseball cards and things of this nature, it immediately, you know, it doesn't change the value of the original because it's a reprint, right?
Yeah.
However, with action figures, it does devaluize the initial figure because it's no longer as rare as it was because you can still have one now. Because like this Bret Hart was like, if you had him in the box 2 years ago before the Best Of series started, he was going for about $100 to $150. I would send him $100 loose sometimes, and I wouldn't pay that for it. And I traded a Defining Moments Bret Hart that was loose for it with a guy. That's how I got one MOC. Now that same figure that I've done that is going for about roughly $35. The 2019s are not the best of the 2019s are.
It doesn't bother me unless it's an exclusive, like from a convention, and then they release it in the regular packaging, and it's the exact same figure. But now, because the exclusives, you know, for me, for those, I want them to hold value. The rest of them, I don't really care if they hold value or not, because I'm usually buying them to collect just to have them, not because they're anything else. Like you know, looking back there behind you, I think that Snake Eyes in the box back there, that Pulse exclusive Snake Eyes is back there. That's a fantastic one to think about, you know, because it's that exact same Snake Eyes was in a regular box, but it didn't come with all the weapons and all the stuff. So I didn't care if they reprinted it in a different format or a different mold or different box, whatever. Now, but if they'd done something like the Comic-Con exclusives like the White Lanterns and stuff that they did, like the Batman, the Flash, and the Green and Hal Jordan and Sinestro. Now those, that would have bothered me if they'd turn around with DC Direct and read. I know some other people have done them, so those are, but they're different molds, they're different points of articulation, different brand altogether, but it's not the same as what those were. So I'm like, okay, if they'd have redone those, I'd have been like, well, shit, I paid for those. I mean, that would annoy me with those, but
I'm a little torn.
As much.
Because I mean, if you missed out on these figures, it's great for you. Because like I literally went in for the WCW Warrior because, you know, when they come out, when that first wave come out, it was like Ultimate's first drop. They were very hard to find everywhere, and it was like $30 at the time. You know, for a wrestling figure, was pretty damn like holy shit, really. You know, so not many people went in for the first few waves, and that Ultimate Warrior was going $100 loose, easily, and so to be able to buy it for $35. When especially if all you want to do is open it anyways, it's a steal. But to the people that, you know, initially went in for the figures, it does suck for them.
Yeah.
If you ever have intentions of selling, if you never have intentions of selling, I mean, I guess
I'm one of those people who I'm collecting it just because I want it. So I don't just begrudge anybody else trying to get it by any means. I mean, have I done something that I regretted? Yes. Like when I bought the Aguilar Max rewind and eject tapes for their set of masterpiece style ones, and they're actually the size of an actual cassette instead of being small like the fit in Blaster's chest. I bought the two exclusive ones, which are from the conventions, and they were like almost $200 a piece. But then I got the regular ones because they came out; they were like $89 a piece. So I got them. I was like, man, I wish I hadn't spent the $200. But I've got those, and they come in like a tape deck type chest piece that I could resell them if I wanted to. But I kind of like the look of them too, so I just hate that I spend that much for them. But most of the time, I don't begrudge anybody trying to get that stuff because there's some stuff that's come along before, and I'm like, I want that, especially like trying to collect all the G.I. Joes and the G.I. Joe classified line, and they were coming out with stuff that you couldn't get a hold of. They were Target exclusive stuff. I'm like, yeah, reprint and resell that shit so I can get it because nobody was getting it when it first started, right? And I'm like, I want those to have in my collection. So I was more on the side of doing that. But I said, if it's a comic convention or a toy convention exclusive of some sort, that would probably bother me. Like if you do, like Dr. Mindbender, Chuckles, and Serpentor that they did as exclusives, they were fairly readily available regardless of what convention they were at. So it was easy to get that look. But if they just came out with a Chuckles without all the extra accessories, the head, all this, or the Dr. Mindbender, he didn't have the tubes and the whole opening section for the display or whatever, I wouldn't really have a problem with that. But if they turn around and did that whole thing as a reissue again and said, okay, here you go, everybody can get it in this, not the same price it was to get that the first time, then I'd be a little pissed. Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But while you're on that, before we move on, since you brought up some of the toys and stuff you got, I actually have received a lot of things. I haven't been home long enough to open anything because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 10 figures, 11 figures sitting over there that I haven't opened. Oh, I guess 12 because I didn't look at the vamp with clutch in it, but I've got about 12 I haven't opened. But I did get Angel and Scarlet Spider from Marvel Legends in last week. Those both look really, really good, but just to share too, I got Quick Kick and Quick Kick and Airborne in today, and I will say that while those figures look great, Hasbro needs to fix their shipping problem because they shipped them. They put them in a box. There's no padding at all in the box, and the box is just big enough for the 4 figures to the point where they started crushing in on a couple of them. So I was able to get 2 decent packages, one of each one out of there, but there's damage on the Airborne package regardless. It's just not that bad where I would be like, okay, I need to trade it in. But I mean, the way they packaged that was terrible. And then I've seen that they just started shipping the retro card ones too, because my Recondo retro card shipped. So considering how I got those packaged today, I'm a little worried how that one's going to show up packaged.
You know what? I will give Big Bad Toy Store props. Now, they do a great job of packaging. I hadn't really got a whole lot damage from them. The biggest problem you have with them occasionally is they'll put bubble on bubble. And they'll kind of do this, and you can tell the scuffing.
That happens, but I mean, like the retro GI Joes, I'm planning on opening them. I just don't destroy the package before I even get it. Though I mean, that kind of would be a little bit annoying. But I'm gonna open. I didn't buy one of those to keep closed and open because I didn't buy the original releases of those because they were, first of all, they were crap and you couldn't find a good card 90% of the time, and secondly, they were hard to find anyway. And now they're everywhere, especially like Gung Ho. I couldn't find anywhere for a while. Now he's everywhere. I turn around, I see him in every Walmart. I've
started seeing finally, like Lady J. I've seen her pretty readily available. I've seen Gung Ho. I've seen a few Destros, but I hadn't seen any Crimson Guard.
I've seen most of them except for Storm Shadow. That's the only one I haven't really seen in the store.
I haven't seen him anywhere. I got a Crimson Guard offline. I'd ordered 2. I had to return 1. It was foobarred all up. But I did keep 1. But I haven't seen a Storm Shadow anywhere, not even online.
Yeah, well, I ended up because I just bought some of those to open, and now those retros are coming back out regularly, and they're being more Toon style. I'm like, well, I didn't buy those, keep them on the car, so I'm just gonna open those and just keep the more modern ones in the box still. So they do look good though. But the other thing I was going to mention on toys before I forget it is you brought up that He-Man. So Masterverse just showed their spring collection of, well, all of Masters of the Universe showed their spring collection where those Origins, the Turtle crossovers, or the Masterverse figures. And man, I tell you that I told myself I was going to stop buying that line because I was like, all right, I'm buying enough stuff. I need to cut something back. I'm going to cut that one because I'm just buying those, keeping them in the box. But then I was kind of sad because I like Mechanic and they had just made him and I didn't buy him. All right, I'll just let him sit. Now they came out with that Thunder Punch He-Man and Cyclone, and they look so good. I was like, man, I'm going to have to get those because I want every version of He-Man on the wall, and I want that Cyclone because he looks cool. So I had to go pre-order them as soon as they hit, and then I had to turn around and buy Mechanic too, which luckily he's still in stock on Big Bass. I got it for the right price. I mean, it's still just the regular $23.99. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I can deal with that. So the other ones I did not buy was Gwildor and Orko because I want Orko in red, but I want Gwildor, but I don't want to buy that 2-pack for like $40 for. I mean, they're the price of the 2 of them together in one package. They're small figures. You figure, okay, maybe they're 30, 35 to kind of offset but they want 40 something for it. And I'm like, that's the same price, almost the same price I pay for 2 full size figures. And I don't even want the Orko. So I have not bought it.
I just want the Cosmic Key. That's all I want.
I want Gwildor to fit, but I don't want that white costume Orko. I think it looks cool in the show, but I want classic red outfit Orko.
Red and purple.
Yeah.
Which I went in for Thunder Punch, I went in for Cyclone, and then I went in for the Throne. I had no choice.
That Throne was badass looking.
And the more I looked at it, and it's got the LEDs in it too, and it's like, fuck.
And that Skeletor that comes with is more menacing looking. Like his teeth are all messed up and stuff. Like he's Evil Skull.
He looks pretty good sitting in it, but that there's like one pose that did where he's like getting up out of it a little bit, an action pose. He's got that cape. Oh, that looks so good. Like,
and you could take the full cape and hood off of him too.
Yeah.
I was like, that was actually really impressive. I was impressed with the way they did that one, but the Masterverse line does pretty good, and it's affordable He-Man figures if you want to get into a He-Man line, but not go back and buy like the classics or the Super Sevens that the Mattel's classics or Super Sevens classics, because those are
see, I haven't went into for a whole hell of a lot of those. I got this one here that Big Rob got me, and then I did go in for this Hordak because he was so close to the Filmation look, and I always liked that. And I had the Four Horsemen Super 7 ones, but you don't want to tear them out of the box. These are almost close enough that you don't mind pulling them out of the box.
Well, there was one more I went in for that was a fan favorite character for me, and I hope they don't do this with any more exclusives like this just because the price of it. But I did get the Snout Spout, and he looks fantastic. And he's got actually a water effect, and he comes in a box that you can open. So for one, I'm a little frustrated I can't hang him on the wall because he's in a box, but the box is actually not sealed. I mean, if you want the figure out, you got to cut the ties on the figure, but you can actually open it up and pull everything out, see the figure in it, and put it back together without it being damaged.
I don't feel as guilty about opening those like that. Even if you have to, pull the little plastic connectors off of there.
Yeah,
I don't feel as guilty about it. It's almost like it's still MOC if you want it back. I don't know what it is. It is,
and I like that, but the price of it, because that was a single figure for that He-Man Masterverse, and it was, by the time you had it in, figure itself didn't look that expensive. It was like $30. I was like, all right, so this is a deluxe because it's got some extra stuff in it, and it's exclusive. I get that. But by the time you added in the shipping and everything, it was like $42 to get it here. I was like, God.
See, that was something I liked about DC Direct for a short while there. They done that where you had the opening resealable boxes. You remember they had those plastic boxes they just snapped apart.
Oh, that clamshell type, yeah.
Yeah, they actually had that for a short spell there, and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty neat.
Yeah, I've gotten into that Masterverse line pretty good at this point, though. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna have to keep getting the Masters of the Universe.
Wind up there. I still want to get me another 40th. I got a 40th hanging on the wall there of He-Man.
Yeah,
it's next to the Super 7 Faker, but I want to get another one of those to open because while this one does look good, it's not going to like fit in with my Thundercats and as well as that one would. And that's kind of what I want is one like that. Because the head's updated just enough, but the body and everything else is true enough. Like this one here, he's leaned out. We got a little more updated look. I mean, it's good looking figure, but it's not. I do like the sword a little better.
I will say that because they've made 2 battle armor ones too, and I wish I'd have bought the second battle armor because you can actually snap the armor on and off, and he's a little bit beefier body of that same one, but he doesn't have the beard. The one I got's got the beard. I was like, but I've already got a battle armor, so I'm not going to replace it and buy a new one because they both have the swap out gimmicks in the chest, but one you can't take the armor off of. But I will say that that Thunder Punch He-Man looks much more classic head sculpt He-Man and stuff, and I was like,
great. And it's even got that bronze tan of that. I don't know why. The original figure, his tan was so much more Hogan-esque than what like his hair was had a little more sheen to it. I mean, and they put all that back on him. I was like, you know what, you've sold me.
Those have been really good. And then I will say this too is a big bad. This is my last jump in on your Geek Week here for the toys, but the big bad sales that they have been doing lately, they keep putting ones on there that I want at decent prices. I'm like. Decent for what it is, because I'm like.
You see the Cyclops I sent you today?
I'd already bought it by the time you sent it. when you sent it, I was on a plane, and then when I got off, it popped up. So I don't know what time you sent it, but when I got off the plane, all my text loaded at one time because I was on airplane mode, obviously. And then when I turned it off, everything flooded in, and it was in there.
I fucked around and missed that because I hadn't been checking every day because I've spent too much money with them. Like literally, the load that is coming now, I literally have. Sabretooth Wolverine 2-pack, Wolverine Alondra 2-pack, Tombstone, Hollow's Eve, Crimson Spider, Scarlet Spider, I'm sorry. 2 Techno Vipers, 2 what was the other Joe? Maybe it was Quick Kick. But there's 2 of those. So all of that is like an Angel is on the way. I hadn't been checking as daily, but they had some stuff on there yesterday. It was like, fuck, I wanted that, and it actually sold out. It was Apocalypse. It was the retro card Apocalypse. I have one, but I like to have one to open it, even though his colors are a little off. I would have liked to have one and it was only like $29. I was like, for that, yeah, I'll go in.
Well, I mean, if I look at my pile of loot right now, there was a whole wave of Transformers Legacy that was put up for pre-order last week, and my kid was like, those I want because there's Generation 1 Sandstorm, and there's all these other ones in there that he wants for his collection. I was like, okay, pre-order them. They said they're going to come out in June. No, they all hit last week. I pre-ordered them. They were in stock the next day. I was like, wait a minute.
I think everything else I have is somewhat spaced out. Like, I'm going to get hit with a wave of stuff in April. Then I'm good to June. Unless Super 7 fucks me. If the Silverhawks and Thundercats I have on order that are overdue all come in at one time, I'm going to be fucked. That and the two 012s I got, because I have Silver Centurion, Iron Man, and that black suit Superman, because he actually comes with an alternate hand that has Cyborg Superman's head in it. And it's like, I got to have that. So those are all slated for first quarter. So if they fuck around and come in on me, I'm gonna be in trouble.
I'm looking at now. I have like 11 items in my pile of loot at Big Bad, and honestly, the only reason I haven't shipped it because I got to ship some of them in the next 19 days. But the other reason I haven't is because I'm waiting on the Hot Wing from Super 7 Silverhawks to come in, because my Stargazer showed up, but Hot Wing has not. And I'm like, well, I don't want to ship that in.
My Stargazer hasn't showed up.
Yeah, I've got Stargazer.
No. I think I canceled him, honestly. I think I gambled with him. Yes, I remember now. I gambled with him thinking I'm going to catch him on one of the big bad sales.
Yeah, I've got several things in stock, including that Cyclops that you had sent me earlier, because that's the one I really wanted, because that's my favorite outfit for him. But like I've got the Cyborg Superman from Mafex in there. I got him on their sale for $60, but got all those sitting in there. I'm just waiting on one more thing to show up before I ship it, or I'm just going to have to ship it all before I hit that 19 days on that one. But
as much as I love the pile of loot, it does suck when you get a big pile and ship it, because then you get hit with all that tax at one time.
That doesn't bother me that bad. What gets me is that I've already got stuff here at home I haven't opened, so I've either got to have an opening party before I order all that and get all this stuff cleared out, or get that stuff here and then do a big thing afterwards. But then I'm like, damn, this is going to take forever to go through.
Is it where you cut your cam on and just have an unboxing video?
I don't know.
We might do an unboxing show one day.
I'm too quiet when I do that, because I'm like, I want to mess with it and posing and stuff, and I'm very much into posing my stuff and making it look dynamic. So I'm like, I would just sit there and be completely into it. And I'll forget to bring the camera on.
I'm looking forward to the Techno Viper show. That's the one I'm most excited about. That was one of my favorites as a kid. I still have the original, so I'm pretty excited for that to get here, because they done some cool effects with him.
He does look cool. And I said I was going to stop jumping on the toy part of your Geek Week, but I got to ask, did you see the Transformer drop today?
I did, and I'm a little torn on it. Just because of, okay, they showed the picture of all four turtles there.
Yes.
And then you realize that's one damn figure. Because I was thinking, wow, they all transform into the fucking battle wagon? Because that's a party wagon. That's a little... But it's one figure, and it's just a little cap that slides on and off the head.
Yeah, you could change the head, and you could change the belt piece too.
Now I was a little like, So in other words, you got to buy 4 of these.
That's cool.
If you wanted to have all 4.
Yeah, it's cool for a cross, and that's actually
for $40.
That's my complaint with it. Because my
it's a 7-inch figure. It's not an oversized Transformer.
It's a chug. It's a hollow chug. It's mainline. Yeah. But I mean, I've got a few of the crossovers like the DeLorean and the Ecto 1 and stuff, and I was like, that'd be kind of cool to have, just to have another crossover figure, because I don't open them. I'd have them in the box, but my child likes to open those, and he wants all those crossovers because they're big for him. It's like he loves Transformers. That's his thing. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not buying 4 of those just so you can have. He's like, can we buy 4 so I can have all 4 turtles? And I can. I was like, I'm not buying 4 of those. No, it's $50 actually. It's $49.
Oh, are they? Wow. I remember looking at the price and thinking, wow, that's a bit, because that's roughly a $25 figure, maybe.
Yes.
In fairness,
Let me double check. Yeah, it's $49.99 for it.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's like, I want 4 of them. So I was like, and then the limit to order on Hasbro Pulse is 5. I'm like, what are you going to do with the 5th one? Why not make the limit 4? Because you can't do anything else after that.
Yeah.
Unless you want to sell one.
But they're not going to be so popular. Those will wind up at Ollie's, I feel like.
Quite
Or dirt
possibly.
cheap. Because literally that's the only one I have is the Blackbird. That was the
I've got
X-Men
it too, yeah.
Transformer. I got it, and it's still in the box. It was cool looking because it looks so much in vehicle form. Looked great.
It was, and I've gotten most of those crossovers. I quit getting them and got rid of a few of them, like the G.I. Joe ones were just trash. They were not put together very well.
I did get the Soundwave.
That one's not
one.
bad. The Megatron
I
and the
hadn't opened
Bumblebee.
it. I literally just put it in the closet and I set it in there because I was like, fuck, where am I going to display this? I'm running out of room.
The kid got them, and I had gotten the Megatron and Bumblebee because I was doing all those crossover ones. But then he opened up his, and the Bumblebee, when you put it together, like it would not even snap the waist and stuff together. He would just keep flopping over. I was like, oh no, I'm getting rid of those now. So I'm not buying any more of those. But he wanted all of those. I'm like, I'm not buying 4 of those vans. I'm not spending $200 on the turtle van just.
You buy one, he buys the other 3.
He's like, I'll pay you for them. I was like, where are you gonna get money?
The Bank of Dad.
Yeah, no. So that was, and that covered all of my toys for Geek Week as well while we were on yours. But sorry about that for interrupting yours. But I'll let you cover the rest of your Geek Week.
When we bounce back and forth, I love it like that. But the only other 2 things I got is X-Men 97. We hadn't really got a chance, you and I, to discuss.
Not episode 2, because I haven't watched
episode. Oh, you haven't seen the first 2 yet?
I've seen the first 2. I haven't seen the third one.
Okay, I haven't seen the third one yet either. Matter of fact, when we get done recording, that's what I'm going to do.
I wait till the kid comes over. Now, he's out of school for Good Friday tomorrow, but he's got a thing he's got to take care of, and then he's coming over here, so we'll watch it probably tomorrow afternoon or something. But I won't watch it without him because he wants to see it at the same time. But I will say that I have watched the first 2. We watched them last Saturday, and I saw you put a review out of them, and I will tell you I didn't watch your review just because.
You see, people, my own co-hosts don't even watch my show.
I did because at the time, I don't remember exactly when you put it out, but you're like, it's 6 days into it now. Everybody should have seen it. I was like, I don't remember that I've seen it at this point yet. So
yeah, I put it out the first of the week. I did give everybody till Monday, and I was like, what? By now, you fuckers should have done seen this.
So I did not until after we watched it, but we had watched it last Sunday. We watched it on Sunday of last week. So
how did you feel about it? What were your thoughts? Some of your thoughts.
Grading, if I was to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10 or how so what let's do this. What grading scale do you want to grade it on? A through F or 1 through 10?
Well, I do 1 through 5 hassles.
We're doing 1 through 5. I went 4.75.
That's what I did. I want to say it was my it was as close to perfect as they could do.
There's a couple things that stood out to me. I mean, I did like the fact that it's still set in the 90s. They kind of make it that you don't see people on smartphones and stuff like this. Everything was still, the vehicle still
almost
looked
refreshing, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a breath of fresh air.
Like you look back, like, fuck, we used to actually live,
So that was cool to see it set back in that time. The continuation of everything that they had going on was excellent. The fight scene with the Sentinels, which I had already seen online because they had posted that weeks out, but that was pretty cool. But I will say that some of the things that stood out to me was it was a serious cartoon. I mean, it was animated. It's a cartoon, but they had serious moments. Cyclops' use of his powers and his showing out that he's actually a trained fighter. A lot of times people are like, oh, he just shoots IVs. No, he's actually very skilled. I mean, if you go back and read some of the old stuff where he takes on the whole team by himself in a training mission to show them, here's what you should do, or here's how you can handle things. And like just him showing out in his fights was really cool. And like when he jumps out the plane or when the plane, he's out of the plane and he's like, I'll see all of you on the ground. It's like, damn, that's badass looking.
See, that was actually one of the things I touched on in my review if you'd have watched it, but it is what it is. I was like, I had to reword myself. I was like, they made him into badass. I know he's always been a badass. I just portrayed it finally, because a lot of times it's easy to dismiss him as the apple polisher, as Iceman called him. And in reality, he was like the only thing, and that's because we have the hindsight, so to speak. When he shows up, they're like, "Are you one of the bad guys or good guys?" Definitely one of the good guys. And I was like, "Psych, baby, you finna take a hard turn in just a couple of years."
He does take a turn on some Magneto. However, you say that, but however, he was right in everything that he said and did, and how people treated him. Even after, no matter what, they still I'm going to maintain Cyclops.
Oh, he's far better than I am, because I would have Magnetoed from the start. You start persecuting me and my people, oh, bro, we finna throw these hands. So, I mean, I'd have went Magneto years earlier. That was my only thing, is like, he was so anti-Magneto for so long, and then he becomes Magneto essentially, but to protect his people. And I get protected doing that, because I mean, you can only be feared and ostracized for so long and hunted and hated before you finally say, look, I'm going to take care of my tribe.
Yeah. Yeah, there's very few people that can pull off that they are always in the right and always the good guy. Like Superman, you can make that argument, but a lot of others, it's like, okay, at some point you're the villain to somebody else's story.
Oh, absolutely. Well, every great villain is a hero in their own story.
Yeah.
They feel like what they're doing is justified. They had no other option but to, do what they done. And
it's the same in reverse. And at some point, if you are being hunted and persecuted and killed to that extent, then you do have to come off as the villain to everybody else, no matter how hard you try to be the heroic face of everything. But really and truthfully, that felt like when they did that, was like they were just doing that to try and make Wolverine be the apple polisher at that point, for lack of a better word. Because that's what they did with him, was try to make him like, oh, he doesn't do this, he doesn't stab people, he doesn't kill people. It was like, no, dude, you just basically tried to flip flop these two characters to make a different dynamic. It doesn't.
Did you feel? To me, it seemed like the voice actors found their niche a little better by the second episode. I don't know, maybe because I watched them back to back and it just grew on me. But even like the chick that done Rogue, she, even though it's the same woman, she did not sound like Rogue in the first episode. By the second episode, she started getting there.
She's that one. I kind of disagree. She's the one to me that I think sounds exactly the same as she did before. Just
Storm.
Older.
Storm was.
Well, Storm's the one who sounds exactly the same. Rogue is the one who sounds the same but older. Like that lady seems like her voice is weaker. Like she's aged. So like as you age, a lot of times your voice is not able to project as much. And it sounded exactly the same. It sounded like she's just not able to be as loud. So it's like they're not turning the volume up enough on it.
I've seen some footage of her at cons where she does, the voice, and it's like spot on there. So that's why I was kind of surprised in the first episode.
But think about that when you're watching a con where there's somebody recording her doing that on their phone. She's probably got a microphone from the phone, or she got a microphone on stage. But this is recorded in a booth, so I think that she was the same. They just didn't go in and say, okay, we need to turn the volume up on this recording so it sounds more pronounced when it's on screen, because it sounded very quiet on screen, but the way she said it, her mannerisms.
It wasn't as pronounced, I guess. That sugar. I can't really, how it's just that, I don't know, she has a sweetness and a raspiness at the same time.
And Wolverine sounded the same. Like Wolverine's and Rogues was the two that got me, because like Rogues was the same but turned down, and Wolverine's was the same voice, but it's like they kind of turned the volume up and made it like
the gruffiness isn't quite as
but it wasn't as bad as it was on the previews when they showed the previews.
The two that was the most off-putting to me, well, aside from the fact that Jean sounds nothing like Jean,
because it's not the same woman.
Yeah, and I know. Yeah, I understand. Well, and that lady, she's on the show. I don't know who she's
as somebody else. Yeah, she's going to be on there with some other characters.
But Bishop, I did not really care for. He didn't sound as. He had this outlaw cowboy sound in the 90s.
Yes,
he didn't seem to have that as much.
And I like that better, but I don't dislike the voice that they had for Bishop.
Well, it's not that it's
he
bad.
Sounds like the guy who does Cyborg and who was in Walking Dead as Ezekiel and stuff. He sounds like him, but it's not him.
The one that was the biggest turnoff to me was whoever they had voicing Xavier when Morph portrayed Xavier.
Yeah, that one was kind of rough.
Whew, that was fucking brutal. I was like, just stop. Stop now. The only other thing I had negative about the show at all was Morph's abilities. Did you not feel like they portrayed him up a little more powerful than what he actually is?
So that was the one that me and the kid were debating, because it's like, okay, he's a shapeshifter, and yes, they do this with Mystique a lot of times. When she shapeshifts, she takes on some of their traits and powers. Like she can have claws like Wolverine, but they're not adamantium, they're not unbreakable. She doesn't have a healing factor. She can come up with some kind of claw type thing to fight with, right? So it's kind of like that, but it's kind of like they took it a step too far, because they were like, okay, we're going to do every little. Like if he turned into Angel or Archangel and he had wings, okay, you can glide down. It might not be quite flying, but you can still glide. You can shapeshift into something that can glide. But when he turns into Colossus and you've got metal skin, or Lady Deathstrike and you've got her, you could even fake her sharp talons just by sharpening your. You could do a plastic man and have it sharpened, right? I can get by with that. Colossus is still skin though, and Blob's.
He doesn't gain Colossus's strength. He does not gain Blob's strength and durability.
No, but he could pull off the blob belly bounce thing they did because he's stretchy, right?
Okay.
I can give him that one. I can give him that one, and I can give him Archangels. Lady Deathstrike's a little bit of a stretch. Psylocke's ninja skills, I didn't understand that one at all. And Colossus of Steel skin and strength, I didn't understand at all. Those two were like, that was a little weird.
So the last thing I got, because I just love the X-Men 97. Did you see The Rock and Cody's end scene from Raw this week?
No, because I can't watch Hulu when I'm in Canada, and I was in Canada, and Hulu doesn't work, so I haven't watched it.
Rock has totally stole this program from Roman. Like, at this point, it's like, who is Roman going to fight at WrestleMania? Because this is the Rock and Cody show at this point. That was such a fucking great segment. Because like, he comes out at the beginning and just teases this, big thing, and then whispers at him, walks away, doesn't say shit. Then you got the whole show there, and they're teasing it like, well, what did he say? What did he say? And Cody's like, something he can't deliver on. Then at the end of the show, he blindsides Cody and just fucks him up. And I'm loving this Mama Rose thing. I was like, Mama Rose! And he's like whooping the shit out of Cody. Bloodied him up. I mean, but they were attitude error. I mean, he dropped an F-bomb. I was like, holy shit. Because I said some cussing earlier, and I was like, ooh, I got away with that, But then he's like, fuck. And I was like, oh, shit. I mean, they went fuck. So I'm just I'm a little more excited about going to Netflix now because I feel like we're going to really get the attitude era back with Netflix. So, dude, they have this great fight at the end of it. They're fighting in the fucking rain outside. He's just like beating the piss. And he'd already cut that great promo on Instagram about how he was going to whoop the piss out of Cody Rhodes, And I was like, damn. He got like a 10-minute promo on him. Cut a good one out of SmackDown. Then he's back. Wasn't he supposed to be on Raw, but he was. He cuts and you just have this great back and forth between them. I mean, Cody tries to fight back, but he's got blindsided.
Yeah.
He just felt like nobody comes Cody's aid. He bloodies Cody, puts the blood all over the Mama Rhodes belt that he's going to hand to Mama Rhodes at WrestleMania. Dude, I loved it. It was fucking great.
I haven't watched it. A lot of stuff I've got to watch because in Canada, I can get Netflix on because I don't have a VPN. If I have VPN, I can watch whatever. But since I don't want to pay for a VPN because I'm cheap, I only can get Netflix, and it's Canadian
Netflix.
rules
the most ruthless terrorist organization known to man, and he don't want to buy a VPN.
Disney Plus, I can get up there, and there's some few shows on there that's not on the Disney Plus here. The stuff that they own, they just have it on different platforms here, like Hulu. But since they don't have Hulu up there, they put it on Disney Plus, and then Netflix is very similar to here, with just a few extra stuff that's maybe on another platform here, like HBO Max or something. So that's all I kind of watched, was just caught some old stuff on there. Actually, it was just killing time watching older stuff on there, and not really anything new because I can't get into anything. I was like, I watch all this when I get home, and I just got home at like, we're recording at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I got home at like 5:30, so so I haven't really had time.
It's hell being the ruler of an organization like that. I mean, since I've spoiled that one, I won't spoil the CM Punk for you. However, I'm going to say this: when you watch it, tell me that you can't tell Pepsi Field got flustered a few times. And Drew McIntyre has become such a fucking great heel. Like, he is someone I cared nothing about at one point. And since he's took on this new persona he has, I fucking love him. I know you don't social media. I do all of our social media.
Yeah.
But, dude, his Twitter is fucking great. And I'm somebody, I don't really care for Twitter. Like, really, the only people I interact with on Twitter are people that do Creator Wrestler for 2K24. There's a few of those guys I interact with some on there. But for the most, and Big Rob, obviously. So I don't really fuck with a whole lot of people on there, but I do look for Drew's Twitters because they're like, he's got some trolling something every fucking day. And it's just, he is great. He is like, other than The Rock, he has become that Christian Cage heel for WWE. That's the kind of heat he's generating, which I will say, kudos to Punk for hitting on Jim Cornette.
That's the only thing I've seen. That is the only thing I've seen.
I was like, fucking cool points.
So I should say something else. I saw some stuff about what happened with Rock and Cody. I didn't watch it, and I didn't look into it. I was like, I'll watch that when I get home. But I saw they had something going on, and then I saw that he says, I saw a punk saying something. Pat Max said, "Hey, you got a little show." So sorry, I don't watch it regularly. All I watch is the drive through and the experience. And I was like, that's funny.
Yeah, I was like, boom.
That was the one thing I did actually see and listen to. I was like, that's actually pretty funny. But
when you watch the segments, you can tell Punk is flustered. Like Drew and Seth both kind of skink. Like at one point, he's like, they almost name drop McMahon, and you can tell it's like, well, are you gonna have the balls to say his name? And it was like you can see it between them, like, oh, nobody wanted to touch it, but they touched it. It's like, ooh, okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't watched it. I honestly, and I don't know. I don't know. Was there more to your Geek Week besides that? If not, that's all I can go into is what I watched for my Geek Week, which is we've already talked X-Men '97. So I'll tell you the other things I watched, and some of this I watched before I left town, but I did watch. Kid and I watched Trolls Man together. I'm gonna tell you, if you don't like those troll movies, they're actually pretty funny, but that one was pretty damn fun. There was a lot of inside jokes in that one about because that's the one where they Justin Timberlake's little troll character has to get back, find his brothers or whatever because they're in danger, and they had a boy band. That shit was hilarious. All the boy band jokes they pulled off, those were really good.
I just watched the first Trolls this past weekend with the Gremlin because I don't know why certain things like captivate him tremendously.
They were funny to me,
and it keeps him quiet for So I'm not most parents. I will turn it on to keep him quiet. And then I got to kind of watching it with him. I was like, it's a little better than I thought it would be. Because the animation's kind of like, but they're designed to. I won't say they're designed to look that way. They're trolls, So, or they almost look like fucking. What was the little hair trolls back in the day? Back in the fucking 90s.
That's
called trolls?
The same thing.
Treasure trolls, kind of like those.
That's the same thing.
But,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was like, but then I got to watch them. It's like, okay, it's kind of like Shrek. Back in the day, we didn't think Shrek was gonna be worth a shit, and it was like it had more adult jokes than it had.
That's kind of how this was, but it was more of it wasn't even so much adult jokes as some of it was like because the whole thing is about the Justin Timberlake characters, brothers and the boy band and stuff. And every time they showed them together, they would crack jokes and pull out different boy band names and just make them into a running joke. And I was like, that's actually pretty fucking funny.
I might have to watch it next time he comes over then, because
it's on Peacock. I
get to watch what I want when he's not here, and then when he's here, we watch what the Gremlin wants. If we don't tap it up. So
the second one was not as funny as the first and the third one to me, but the first and the third one were hilarious of those.
We watched the first one out, so I may skip the second one now that you said that. Go straight to the third.
The other stuff I watched is we've been the kid and I have been watching an anime that's on HBO Max, and it's an anime style, but it's American written. It's a Ninja Kamui, I think is the name of it.
I want to watch it. I just seen like a snippet. Somebody
it reminds me of Castlevania when you watch it.
Yeah.
It has that same Castlevania type look because it's anime style, but the storyline is really good, and they don't skimp on the fighting and the cutting people up and just.
What it reminded me of in the clip I've seen? Like I hadn't seen the episode, so I don't know, but just the clip I seen, it reminded me a lot of 8 Man After, honestly. The cyborg type fighting deal. I don't know. It looked really cool.
And that's actually I thought when I first saw it, I was like, well, they robots and stuff, but no, they're actually in mech suits at certain points, but they are trained. They're trained ninjas. Each one has a different special ability and skill and stuff. But then the one guy who's the hero character, later on he gets a mech suit to fight some of the villains who have mech suits, and it amplifies their powers to the point that he can't really even do anything, even with his power, and his power is freaking weird and awesome. But it's actually been a really good show. I
put that in my list the other day to watch, because I did watch Aquaman 2 and I actually really enjoyed it. Then I rewatched Dark Knight Strikes Back again. I like that. Peter Weller pulled off the old Batman to me.
I just couldn't. It's not terrible. I can sit there and watch it, but it's not one of those I'm going to seek out to watch multiple times.
I watched them when they first dropped, and then I was sitting here the other night, and I didn't got in them old hassle drinks a little bit. I was a little buzzed, and I was like, you know what? want to watch this. I haven't watched this in a long time. And it was there. I enjoyed it. Again.
But I only had one more thing in my Geek Week, and then we can move into Nerd Out because we've been here for quite a little bit. We don't want to go over too long. But I did watch, if you haven't watched on Hulu, watch Freelance with John Cena. That's actually pretty good.
You Big Rob was talking about that the other day. I got to check that. I got to check that and Ricky Snitsky out.
I couldn't watch Ricky Stinney. I got bored after like 30 minutes. I was like, I'm just not into it. So I turned it off. Maybe I'll try it again. But Freelance was actually, because it's an action comedy, so there's a lot of action to it. So he's got some scenes with that, but the whole movie, he's funny, not because he's playing a dumb, goofy character, just because he's like, damn, this is terrible. And then they showed action stuff, and he's like trying to get this reporter who's with him to pay attention and not get hurt and stuff. So he's funny dealing with her, and that's actually what makes it funny. Okay. But with that,
two that's on my list, I got to check out.
I mean, they were good. I enjoyed it. I just couldn't get into Ricky Stenicki, but I may give it another try at another time. It won't be this weekend because I'm getting ready to leave town again. So,
well, that's one of those I know I'm going to have to watch when the wife's not home. But I already know it's going to have something that's just like uncomfortable in there at some point.
I am sure it probably does. Where I got to it in 30 minutes, I got into it. There wasn't much going on, but it was like, yeah.
But when I watched Poor Things, I already knew this was not a movie I could watch when she was home.
Yeah, that one's not made for that.
No, that movie, and she's doing another one with the same director. Apparently, she's a prostitute in this next one. So I don't know. Emma Stone's done fucked around and got an award for being a slut on screen now, and she's wanting to just throw it out there for everyone.
But that's not her first time. She's been nude on some other ones. But think back to one of her earliest movies. She was in the Scarlet Letter or whatever it was, whatever they call it, Easy A or whatever. She wore the A on her dress for the Scarlet. Like the
but
Scarlet
you know
Letter.
what? I say she's probably naked half of the damn Poor Things.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard that she is. But I know she has some.
Have you ever really wanted to see it? There it is, brother, in all its glory. She calls it frivolous jumping.
Oh, well, before we get ourselves in trouble with that, let's move into Nerd Out because we're getting a little bit tighter on time here. So for anybody who hasn't been here before, this is part of the show where we ask random questions about the topics of the day and respond with little to no prep time. Feel free to expand upon our answers in the comments below or provide your own answers to what we talked about. Since we had a fight week this week and as well as a large geek week afterwards, these questions are just going to be completely probably out of the left and blue, so we will figure these out as we go. So we didn't really have a quite focused topic, so I'm not sure where we're going with these. So
I got one actually picked out.
You went first earlier, so you go first again now.
So this was actually inspired by Facebook. I seen this on Facebook, and I was like, it's fucking interesting. And I wanted to send it to you guys. I was like, no, I'm going to hold that for my nerd out. So here it is. Let me read it off to you. Sabretooth comes to Gotham City to celebrate Batman's birthday by killing all the Robins one by one in a single night. He's been prepping for a year. Nobody in Gotham knows who he is. Can he kill them all before Batman stops him? He's had a year head start prepping.
I don't know.
And they don't know shit about who he is or what he can do.
That's an interesting question. Just based on his ferocity and his abilities and stuff, I would want to say he makes it actually. I just don't see how they really defeat him, honestly. But if I'm thinking in terms of okay, how would they write this? I would say that you probably would not get Dick Grayson or Batman.
Okay.
But yeah, honestly, I just don't see how any of them contend with it because he's got powers and abilities, he heals, and they usually try to incapacitate, but I mean they would almost have to dang near kill him. I mean this is closest competitor they have into this realm with him would be Killer Croc, and he's not quite as resilient.
Oh hell no, he doesn't have a healing factor. He gets animalistic, but he doesn't. Killer Croc's kind of stupid. Creed is not actually an idiot.
No, I don't see how they win this. I don't know. That's hard to envision. I'm not sure. What would you?
It was
fun.
Say? It was fun when I seen it. Here's what I think, guys. So I'm assuming he's only in DC Universe for one night. Like he comes portals in and portals back out at the end of the night is the way I'm seeing it. I think he runs through Tim pretty damn easy. Runs through Damian. I don't know. Maybe he goes through Jason next. plays with Damien a little bit, and that gets the dander of Dick up pretty good because Damien got pretty close when Bruce was dead or displaced.
Fair.
I think he is at the point in the gauntlet at that point to where him and Dick have a great back and forth, and I think he like really fucks Dick up pretty good and runs out of time. And at the end of the night, just before he's about to kill Dick, while Bruce is helpless, he's displaced back into the 616. Now the question comes, do they know that he's going to return next year? And are they ready? And if so, how does that turn out?
That's an interesting question. So that would be a good extension. I don't know. So I guess because of, I know everybody's always like, oh, Batman's got prep time, he can do this. And I was like, dude, that's an excuse all the time just because you don't want your favorite to lose. I just don't see how he defeats some of these people with power.
Sabretooth is a badass dude, honestly. I mean, you got to figure what keeps him in check is Wolverine. Another person just got the same kind of healing factor. He's just a little more indestructible than Sabretooth because of the adamantium skeleton. Which it depends on what time and place you're fighting Sabretooth, because at certain times and places he has adamantium skeleton.
That goes back to the question though too, because supposedly if you read some of the stuff that Marvel has put out in the past few years, is that Wolverine's is actually the strongest healing factor out of any of them with the healing factor. It's just the adamantium takes away from it because he's always fighting metal poison.
Slows him down, yeah.
Deadpool is like number 2 because his is just completely ridiculously regenerative, and then Sabretooth is on down the list. So it's an interesting conundrum. I just don't see how it with it. I would probably look at that and read it. Yeah, that's the thing too. Who's writing this?
Because you could have Jeff Johns right now, and I love Jeff Johns. Don't get me wrong, but he is so fucking biased when it comes to Batman and fucking Flash that it's like, okay, no.
I don't know so much on Batman. I don't see him get into Batman's arena much, but now Green Lantern and Flash, absolutely.
But Green Lantern is very underutilized. So I don't have a problem with Green Lantern. Because you got to figure out what they battle on the daily. It is very easy to understand. Oh, it's just a fucking power ring. No, that's the most powerful weapon in the universe. I mean, that's.
And apparently,
you have a weapon of mass destruction on your fucking finger here.
So, have you seen the news from the latest issues coming out where Hal's ring is actually now the most powerful ring that's in creation? Because apparently the Guardians actually hid, like the Guardians have always been worried that there was going to be a change in the Corps' ownership or whatever, and that's what it has been with the United Planets. So apparently they hid stuff on Earth like extra rings and batteries on Earth that were actually more powerful. Like some of the original ones they created, they're more powerful than what they gave out to the Corps later on. So when Hal recreated his ring on Earth from a Manhunter skull in this current run, and he just willed a new ring to be created, he only got half of what was actually there because there's an actual ring and battery on Earth. So he actually destroys his new ring, takes the actual one that's there, and it's bonded to him completely. But it's also like supposedly it has powers and stuff, and like he can create constructs that are not just green. He can make them look like anything and make them look realistic and keep them going.
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah. But let's delve into my question for this week before we run out of time here. So I went with X-Men 97 because we were going to talk about it a little bit, and it's been out and it's been on my mind. So we've got Morph, Bishop, soon Nightcrawler is going to join the cast as a permanent member of the team, or supposedly that's what we've been led to believe. And hopefully that is not just another cameo that Morph is doing. But let me ask you this question. This is a minor. What X-Men would you like to see added to the cast of the 97 team as a mainstay on the team at all times?
Iceman.
That was my first choice, and my second one would have been Archangel, just because they're original X-Men. There's others I'd like to see.
Well, with the way that arc was going, and at some point Apocalypse is coming back. It's easy to forget that he took over Fabian Cortez's body in the last season.
Yeah.
In one of the last episodes actually. So he's coming back at some point. They're probably gonna save him for the next season, I would think.
I'd imagine.
So that would be fun to see Archangel trying to redeem himself a little bit.
And there's other characters I like I would love to see Cannonball just because he's a favorite of mine. But at the same time, it's one of those where okay, you just brought in Sunspot to be the new Jubilee character, the crowd introduction, right? So can't do another one of those. I'd like to see
I
Havoc.
wish the
At the same
animation
time, you
hadn't
got
been so bad on the
Cyclops.
episode he was in.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
The animation and the way they done it was you could tell it was getting poor quality by that point.
Well, they were on the outs with Fox, and they were losing. They weren't spending as much money to make them anymore. They're like, because this is over with at this point. So you can kind of tell they knew it. I would actually, and we're going to get Forge in the next few episodes too. So I'm actually,
yeah, I think they're going the route where him and Storm do their little thing.
Yeah,
I'm kind of excited about it. Dude, how fucking sad was it when she lost her powers? Like, I was like, because I thought they killed her for a minute. Like, literally, I was like, oh shit. If y'all just kill Storm, I'm gonna fucking lose my shit.
I knew exactly what they were doing because as soon as she hit the ground, I was like, oh, she's gonna be depowered, and because they've already put in they've already released the title list for all the episodes, the 10 episodes, and one of the there's 2 parts in there, Life Death or something like that. I think's the name of it.
Why is there an episode in between them? I saw that. It's like you have episode 1, and there's like an episode there, and then the episode 2 is like
because it's an art for her, but she's not going to be with the rest of the team. But that was the story in the comics when Forge had created a energy or a power dampening gun that takes away their powers, and he actually helps her get it back, and that's when they fall in love and stuff. That's right before Siege Perilous, so I knew that was coming. Based on that, I was like,
because initially she saved Rogue, and that was how she lost her powers.
Yeah. As soon as they put that title on there, I was like, I wonder what they're going to do with that. And then I saw her get shot. I was like, oh, she's lost her power. She's going to have to find Forge. So I get it now.
Let me ask you this: why don't Rogue just put a power dampening collar on to get her freak on with Gambit instead of slutting around with Magneto?
What you say she's doing that with Magneto, but how do you know she doesn't have feelings for him? We haven't. She's had feelings for him in the past. They were married in Age of Apocalypse. They have a relationship.
Her and Joseph had a long-standing relationship until all that went south. There are various points in time where her and Magnus has had
like when they were in the Savage Land, and she didn't have her powers in the Savage Land. They were together.
Well, no, it's long ago. They actually had a little something.
Yeah. So I don't know. That doesn't bother me that much because it's a good story for them. I just
always wondered why she don't wear a power dampening collar occasionally. If she needs that intimacy.
I don't know, because they've never really explained if the collars just dampen your powers or if it actually causes you physical pain and harm because it is shutting off your powers. And so I don't know. So that's an interesting question. Be interesting to find out. But
they're pretty prevalent in that universe, man. Every fucking body has them. The Friends of Humanity have them. I mean, come on.
This is true.
The dirty racists can get their hands on them. I'm pretty sure they could.
However, speaking of that and saying going through that, we've been here for a while, so let's leave out on that and we'll let people ponder that question until we return here. So that brings us to a close, Hassel. But before we leave, tell everybody where they can find us at.
You can find us on Twitter, Nerdy MR Show. You can find us on Facebook, Hassel Hutchinson via the Nerdy Manroom Show. Instagram, the Nerdy Manroom Show. We're most active on there. We're on TikTok at the.nerdy.manroom. And YouTube, Spotlight Media, Geek Network, Metal Ninja Studios. We're everywhere.
I was gonna say, don't forget all those. Put them all together in there somewhere. And while you're checking us out on all those different platforms that Hassel just mentioned, don't forget to go check out our friend and extended Nerdy Manroom family member, Big Rob. You can find him on his channel, Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food.
No Chinese food.
And after you check out Big Rob, go find our sponsors. We want to give them a big thank you. These Own Collectibles. You can find them on our internet at theseowncollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at These Own Collectibles or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Visit them for all your nerdy needs and help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite.
And they just had their Spotlight Media 1-year anniversary in store this past Saturday. Yep.
Man, it don't feel like it's been that long.
So, yeah, let's move it along, brother. Because Fox Fitness Crafts, she was there doing in-store sketches. So you never know when they're going to have a pop-up event in their store. Stop in there and just sit in there. Wonderful people that are delight and sweethearts to deal with anyways.
Yeah, and also while we're talking about people who are delight, stick around for a special shout-out at the end credits here. See some of our friends and Metal Ninja Studio / Geek Network family members and check out some of their details there. But after you do that, Join us here next time. We're going to conclude the March Madness Melee and do a WrestleMania recap because it will be after WrestleMania at that point. Until then, live nerdy like it's 1997.